Level 1, the applicant. You're sitting in your apartment on a Wednesday night, not scrolling for entertainment, scrolling for a way out. You have a degree in political science. You added a minor in Arabic because someone told you the government pays well for it. They were right about the government part, wrong about the paying part. You've sent out 34 applications in the past 10 weeks. Consulting firms, defense contractors, think tanks that pay in prestige and not much else. You've heard back from 4 of them. One said they went with someone who had more experience. You graduated 3 months ago. You don't know what experience looks like at 22? Then you find it. A posting on the CIA website. Operations officer. 3 paragraphs long and tells you almost nothing. Collect foreign intelligence. Conduct operations abroad. Serve your country in ways that matter. No office address. No salary range. No indication of what the job actually requires. Just a button. You click it before you finish reading. The application is unlike anything you've ever filled out. Every address since you turned 18. Every country you've set foot in. Every foreign national you've had a substantive conversation with. Have you used illegal drugs? Have you been arrested? Have you had financial problems? Do you have family living outside the United States? They want everything. Not because they're curious. Because more than 150,000 people applied this year, and they're looking for reasons to eliminate you. You spend 3.5 hours filling it out. You submit it just before midnight. You close the laptop, you wait. 12 weeks pass. You take a position at a research firm because the rent doesn't wait. You stop thinking about it. The CIA posting fades the way a lot of things fade at 22. Not dramatically, just quietly, into the background of everything else that needs doing. Then your phone rings on a Thursday morning. Blocked number. A woman speaks with the kind of calm that sounds practiced. She asks if you're still interested in a position you applied for some time ago. She doesn't name the position. She doesn't name the agency. She asks if you can travel to Northern Virginia for a preliminary conversation. You say yes before she finishes the sentence. You don't tell anyone where you're going. The building looks like an insurance company. No signage, no logo, nothing to indicate what happens inside. A man in a gray blazer meets you at the front desk. No business card. He leads you down a corridor to a room with no windows, a table, 2 chairs, and nothing else. He asks questions for nearly 3 hours. Where did you grow up? What languages do you speak? Describe a time you convinced someone to do something they didn't want to do. How do you behave when no one is watching? The questions feel disconnected. They're not. He's building a profile one answer at a time. He's looking for specific things. Adaptability, comfort with uncertainty, the ability to say something untrue without your body betraying you. That last one, you don't know you're being evaluated for it. You are. Then comes the polygraph. You sit in a chair. A technician attaches sensors to your chest, your fingertips, your abdomen. He asks questions and watches a screen turned away from you. Have you ever committed a crime? Have you ever shared sensitive information without authorization? Have you ever had contact with a foreign intelligence service? The room is very quiet. Your hands are wet. You answer everything truthfully because you believe the machine will know if you don't. It won't, not with any certainty. But that belief that the machine sees everything is itself part of what they're measuring. 8 weeks later, the phone rings again. You've been accepted into the clandestine service trainee program. A secure message will follow with reporting instructions. Tell your family you accepted a government position. Do not name the agency, do not name the building, do not name the city. Your old life did not end with the application, or the interview, or the polygraph. It ended with this phone call. You just don't know it yet. Level 2, the trainee. They send you to Camp Peary. Everyone calls it the farm. It sits on 9,000 acres of forest and swampland near Williamsburg, Virginia. There are fences, cameras, and no signage that tells you what happens inside. For the next 18 months, this is your entire world. You wake up before 5. You run before the sun comes up. Then classrooms, hours of classrooms. The instructors have a word for everything you're learning, tradecraft. It covers everything from how to spot a surveillance team to how to hand someone a document while walking past them on a sidewalk without either of you slowing down. You learn the SDR, surveillance detection route, a carefully designed path through a city that forces anyone following you to reveal themselves. A tail has to make every turn you make, has to enter every space you enter, do it long enough and the pattern breaks the surface. You learn to read a street the way other people read a room. You learn to break contact cleanly. Enter a hotel lobby through the front, cross to the elevator bank, go up 2 floors, walk the corridor to the service staircase, go down 3. Exit through a side door onto a street where a car is already moving. The whole sequence runs under 5 minutes. You practice it until your body knows it without your mind involved. You learn to pick locks. First slowly, kneeling in a door frame for minutes at a time. Then faster, then fast enough that it doesn't feel like a skill anymore. You learn to photograph a document in under 30 seconds and leave the room exactly as you found it. You learn to plant a listening device inside a clock, a telephone handset, a coffee maker, objects that people look at every day and never actually see. You learn dead drops. Two people who never meet, never speak, never appear in the same place. Information moving through fixed locations. Your instructors show you a real case. 2006 Moscow, a park path. British intelligence found a hollowed-out rock, a fake one, placed on the ground. For months, Russian agents had been using it to exchange data with a source working for the West. The technology changed, the principle didn't. Everything is designed to look like nothing. That's the whole point. You learn disguise. Not the Hollywood kind. Real disguise is not about your face. It's about your pattern. Surveillance teams aren't memorizing features. They're tracking silhouettes, gaits, the way someone carries their weight when they walk. Change your posture. Slow your pace. Add a pair of glasses that shifts the geometry of your face. Wear a coat that changes your outline. You don't become someone else by looking different. You become someone else by moving differently. Then comes the skill everything else exists to support. Recruitment. Convincing a foreign national to commit espionage, to hand over secrets that could get them executed. For you, the instructors break it down to 4 motivations: money, ideology, coercion, ego. Every person who has ever betrayed their country did it for one of those reasons. Your job is to identify which one is the lever and press it at exactly the right moment. You run practice operations across Virginia and Maryland. Your instructors play hostile foreign intelligence officers. Some of them did this for real in cities where mistakes had real consequences. The failure rate is around 40%. The people who wash out are not told why. You are not one of them. You pass, you receive your first posting, you pack a single suitcase, you get on a plane. You don't look back, because looking back is already something you've been trained not to do. Level 3, the case officer. Your first overseas posting is at an embassy. Your official title is economic officer. Your actual job is to find people with access to secrets and convince them to hand those secrets to you. The target takes 9 months to develop. A colonel in the host country's defense ministry. You spot him at a diplomatic reception, a man who has given decades of his career and never received what he believes he deserves. You recognize the look, you've been trained to recognize it. You don't approach him directly. You build the relationship across months, business dinners, invitations to receptions, conversations that move gradually from professional to personal. You learn his habits, his frustrations, his ambitions. You listen in a way that most people never do, because listening is a weapon when you know how to use it. 9 months in, you make the approach. You don't ask him to betray his country. You frame it differently. You tell him his expertise is undervalued, that his analysis is sharper than what your government receives through official channels, that there are people who would compensate him well for his perspective. You watch his face while you say it. He doesn't say no. The relationship runs for 3 years. What he gives you is real. It produces intelligence that reaches the desks of people whose names you'll never know. His code name is Cardinal. You try not to think too carefully about what it costs him. He has a career. He has a family. He has a country that considers what he's doing a capital offense. You are the reason he is now a traitor, whether he thinks of himself that way or not. You know the word for what this is. You've learned not to use it out loud. What you're asking him to do carries a sentence he won't survive if he's caught. You know this the day you recruit him. You recruit him anyway. That's the job. You tell yourself you'll think about what that means later. Later never really comes. Level 4, the knock operator. They offer you a transfer after 3 years, not to another embassy, to something called non-official cover, no C, pronounced knock. It's the most dangerous assignment in the intelligence community. You will have no diplomatic immunity, no embassy to retreat to, no government ID, nothing connecting you to the United States in any way. If you're caught, the CIA will say they've never heard of you. The State Department will say you're not one of theirs. In some countries, that means a trial. In others, a cell. In others, you disappear and no one ever finds out what happened to you. They build you a legend. A complete false identity, a new name, a work history, a social media presence, and a position at a company that is actually a CIA front. The company is real. It has offices, employees, and clients. None of them know what it really is. You live under that identity every day, every hour. Your landlord thinks you're a consultant who travels constantly. Your cover friends think you're open and interesting. Your family thinks you left the government years ago and now work for the private sector overseas. The only people who know the truth are your handlers at Langley, and you haven't seen them in person in over a year. All communication goes through encrypted channels and dead drops. You are alone in a way that most people will never understand. Your brother gets married in September. You send a gift through a mail forwarding address in Washington. You see the wedding photos on a secure device 3 weeks after the fact. In the photos, everyone is laughing. Your father is answering a question from someone. You can guess what it's about, with his familiar shrug. He's working overseas? Couldn't make it. That's the right answer. That's also why you stare at the photo for 15 minutes before you delete it. You spend New Year's Eve alone in a short-term rental. You buy a bottle of wine because that's what your cover identity would do. You sit on the balcony and listen to fireworks in the distance. You're not sad. That's the most frightening part. You don't feel enough anymore to be sad. You operate in countries where the United States has no official intelligence presence. You meet sources that no embassy officer could ever approach. You attend business conferences in capital cities where the security services are watching every foreigner who enters the country. You smile and shake hands and say things you never mean. The relationships are real. The intelligence they produce is real. Everything else is theater. You live this way for years. You never break character. You never slip. You carry the loneliness like a second skin. There are mornings when you have to pause for a second before you remember your real name. Not because you've forgotten, but because the other name has become more familiar. That's when you know you're good at this. That's also when you know it's costing you something you might not get back. Then one afternoon, at a market in Southeast Asia, a local security service starts following you. They photograph you meeting an asset. You spot the surveillance and abort in time, but close enough that your cover is blown. You can never go back to that region. That asset, the one your cables call Cardinal, is arrested 8 weeks later. You never find out if he talked. You never find out what actually happened to him. Langley gives you three options: a new cover identity, a new region, or a man from the Special Activities Center sits across from you in the same kind of windowless room. He doesn't ask if you're interested. He asks if you're available. You were no one for years. You were good enough at it that you almost forgot who you were. That's also when you know it's taking something from you that you may never get back. Level 5, the paramilitary officer. The man from the Special Activities Center tells you that Ground Branch doesn't recruit, they select, and they've been watching you for a while. You ask how long, he just smiles. The next 6 months are the hardest of your life. Small unit tactics, close quarters combat in complete darkness, explosives, demolitions. High-altitude parachute jumps, you exit the aircraft at 25,000 feet in the middle of the night and free fall for nearly 2 minutes before deploying your chute. Combat diving. Survival, evasion, resistance, and escape. Your instructors are former Delta Force and SEAL Team 6 operators. They don't care what you did at NOC. They only want to know one thing. Can you keep your head clear when someone is shooting at you? For the first time in years, you have people beside you who know your real name. Not assets. Not sources. Real teammates, people who will walk into the dark with you. You didn't realize how alone you had been until it was over. Your first deployment is in a country where the United States has no official military presence. On paper, you were never there. 4 people, one specific target to neutralize. That's all they tell you. You spend 3 weeks on surveillance, moving at night, sleeping in safe houses you don't want to know the history of. On the 22nd night, intelligence confirms the target is inside a building. Your team goes in at 2 a.m. The target isn't there. The people inside that building are civilians. You won't describe what happens next. You do this for 3 years. Shot once, not serious, but enough to know what it feels like. Wounded by explosions twice. Nearly captured once, in a place you can't name. The first time is hard. The 5th time is less hard. By the 10th time, you don't think about it before you fall asleep. That's something you can't explain to anyone. You receive a medal with no name for a mission that never happened, in a place you were never present. No ceremony, no speech. One person shakes your hand in a windowless room and places it in your palm. Your family doesn't know where you've been. They don't know why you flinch at loud noises or why you never talk about work anymore. You don't explain. When you come back the last time, Langley says they want you to lead a team. Level 6, the team leader. They promote you and give you 8 people. 8 people who make decisions based on what you tell them. 8 people who will walk into the dark because you read an intelligence report and decided to trust it. This is what no one tells you about command. It's nothing like execution. When you're an operator, you control your own variables, your actions, your reactions, your split-second decisions. When you're the commander, you control other people's variables. And other people can die because of that. Your team is deployed to a country in civil war. No real government, no fixed front lines. Factions trade control of city blocks, sometimes within hours. The mission: neutralize a specific commander supplying weapons to the group that killed 3 American citizens 6 months ago. You spend 4 weeks collecting intelligence, bribing local sources, cross-referencing from multiple channels. The intelligence confirms the target will be at a specific location at a specific time with a manageable protection force. You make the call. Go in. The target is there. That intelligence is correct. The protection force is not what you were told. That intelligence is wrong. For the next 17 minutes, your team fights its way out. The mission is completed, the target is neutralized, but one of your 8 people doesn't come back with you. He was 29 years old. 18 months in ground branch after 8 years in the military. The best operator on the team, that doesn't matter. The mission is classified as a success. You write a letter to his family. The letter says he died serving his country. The letter says he was brave. Both of those things are true. The letter doesn't say where he was, doesn't say what he was doing, doesn't say that the decision to send the team in was yours, that you read that intelligence report and decided the risk was acceptable. No one tells you that you were wrong. The intelligence was wrong, not you. That's what your colleagues say. That's what the report says. Maybe that's true, but you were the one who read that report. You were the one who decided to trust it. You were the one who sent him in. This is something no training prepares you for. Sometimes you do everything right and someone still dies because of your decision. You have to live with that, not because you were wrong, but precisely because you were right. You return to Langley. Your superiors say they want to move you to a higher command. Level 7, the station chief, 15 years in the field leave a mark. Your back seizes up whenever the weather changes, a remnant from a mission you're not allowed to mention. Your left ear hears less than your right since an explosion 7 years ago. You're 43 years old and feel a decade older. The doctors say no more field work. Too much accumulated damage. Too much risk. They offer you chief of station, the senior CIA officer in an entire country. Every operation, every asset, every piece of intelligence flows through you. You don't go into the field anymore. You decide who does. You meet with the ambassador every morning. You work with local intelligence services, some genuine allies, some adversaries pretending to be allies, and some assets you personally recruited more than a decade ago, now sitting in positions senior enough to be useful in different ways. You approve operations that could cause diplomatic crises if they fail. You shut down operations that could yield valuable intelligence but carry too much risk. Every decision is a calculation. Every success is classified. Every failure appears in the newspapers. Your name nowhere near it, but your fingerprints all over it. You sleep 4 hours a night, sometimes less. Your marriage didn't end in a fight. There was no dramatic confrontation. It ended the way many things in your life ended, quietly, while you were somewhere else. You came back from a long deployment, and your wife said the words in a calm voice, like explaining something obvious. You didn't argue. You didn't have the right to. Your children are grown. Once, the older one asked you directly, just the two of them at dinner, what you actually did for the government all those years. You gave the cover story. They nodded. They'd heard it before. You're not sure they believed it. You're not sure they wanted to know the truth. You have been many versions of yourself. Analyst, case officer, ANOSEC operative, paramilitary officer, team leader, station chief. Your children know one version, your ex-wife knew another. The people you work with know a third. None of them have met all of you. Neither have you. Level 8, the division chief. You return to CIA headquarters after more than 20 years spent mostly abroad. You came to this building for the first time with a job application and sweaty hands, not really knowing what you were applying for. Now you're the one who signs off on who gets in and who doesn't. There is a white marble wall you walk past every morning, 141 stars carved into it, each one an officer who died in service. Some of them were people you knew. Some of them died on operations you planned. You run an entire intelligence division. On any given day, you hold information that could collapse alliances, trigger conflicts, or stop an attack before it happens. The budget you manage doesn't appear in any public document. You report to the director, sometimes to the president. By law, the CIA must testify before congressional intelligence committees. You sit up straight and answer every question. You don't lie. You also don't tell the whole truth. There is a line between those two things, and you learned to live comfortably with that line a long time ago. The senators don't press. They want plausible deniability. You provide it. Everyone plays their role. 18 months into your tenure, you start to notice. Assets are being compromised, not one person but many, across different countries. Too systematic to be operational error, too consistent to be coincidence. Someone is selling their names. Someone inside this building. You open an internal investigation, quietly. If that person knows you're looking, they'll disappear before you find them. You look into the faces of colleagues who have worked alongside you for 20 years. The person sitting across from you at this morning's meeting. The person who knows you, take your coffee black. The person who was there during the hardest years. 20 years in this business taught you not to trust anyone. Now you have to apply that skill to the very people you once considered teammates. Every morning you walk past those 141 stars. You don't know which of the people you just passed in the hallway sold those names. Level 9, the rhetoric. You retire after 28 years. The ceremony is in a conference room at CIA headquarters. 37 people attend. You don't recognize all of them. Some are from oversight committees, legal, administration. The people who actually worked alongside you in the field are mostly scattered or dead. The director gives a speech about sacrifice and the cost of freedom. You receive the Distinguished Intelligence Cross, the highest award the agency gives. It will sit in a box in your closet for the rest of your life. You can't display it. You can't tell anyone what you did to earn it. You sign non-disclosure agreements that bind you until the day you die. Everything you did, everything you saw, everything you know, classified. You'll take it to your grave. You move to a quiet house in Virginia. There aren't many people left to call. The people you served with are scattered or dead. The people you knew before the agency became strangers a long time ago. Your ex-wife has remarried. Your children call on holidays. They know you worked for the government. They don't know anything beyond that. At the grocery store, you still automatically check whether anyone is following you. You check the locks 3 times before bed. You can't sit in a restaurant with your back to the door. 28 years of doing these things don't switch off in a week. You still wake up at 3 a.m. and stand at the window looking into the dark. You don't know what you're looking for. Your pension is generous, your healthcare is covered, the government takes care of its own, financially at least. But no one takes care of the memories. The asset you recruited on your first tour, arrested 8 weeks after your cover was blown. You never found out what actually happened to him. The letter you wrote to the family of the operator who died on the mission, a letter that told the truth about nothing. That family still doesn't know. They never will. And the 18 months you spent on the internal investigation, looking into the faces of colleagues you'd worked with for 20 years, cross-referencing files, wondering who the person sitting across from you at that morning's meeting really was. You retired without finding the answer. The person who sold those names might still be going to work every day, might still be walking past that memorial wall every morning. Some of those stars might be there because of that person. You'll never know. You served your country in ways that most citizens would not believe and many would not approve of. You did things that kept people safe who will never know your name. You made decisions in dark rooms in foreign countries that changed the course of events in ways that will never appear in any history book. You sacrificed your marriage, your health, your peace of mind, and decades of your life. The only evidence that any of it happened is a medal in a box you never open. Somewhere right now, a college student is scrolling through the CIA website. 22 years old, a degree they're not sure what to do with, and a feeling that their life is supposed to be bigger than the office they're heading toward. They're reading about operations officers and the chance to serve their country in ways that matter. They're imagining something out of a movie. They're not imagining the loneliness. They're not imagining 3 a.m. in a house in Virginia, where a retired officer sits alone with memories that will never be declassified. They click apply. They have no idea what they just started. But this all never ends.